In our last lesson, we looked at polynomial operations with addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Today, we're going to look at division. Back in elementary school, you learned to do long division to write a fraction like 1,703 divided by 3 as a mixed number. Let's review the process because we're going to use something similar with the polynomials. The 1,703 is called the dividend, and that goes inside. And the 3 that we're dividing by is called the divisor, and that goes on the outside. And then we try to take 3 into 1. It doesn't go in evenly. So now we need to take 3 into 17, and that does go into 17 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. And at this step, we subtract. Then we drop down the 0. 3 goes into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract. That gives you 2, and then you drop down the 3. 3 goes into 23 7 times. 7 times 3 is 21. And 2 is my remainder. And I can go ahead and write my remainder as 2 out of 3. We can write that as a mixed number. Let's pop that up into Algebra 2. Our dividend, we're going to put on the inside. And if I notice, I don't have an x squared term. If I look at example 1, does this 0 really need to be there? Is 1,703 divided by 3 the same thing as 173 divided by 3? It's not. That 0 is called a placeholder, and if you skip a place in a polynomial, you need to include the placeholder. So I have 0x squared, then minus 12x minus 7. Any place that you skip after your leading term, you have to put placeholders for. And I'm dividing this by 2x plus 3. I have 2 terms here, so I'm going to have to start above the second term. And you're always going to try and get rid of the term on the left. So I'll be looking at the 2x and the 8x cubed. The plus 3 will be part of it, but I'm trying to figure out what I'll multiply 2x with to get 8x cubed. And that's going to be 4x squared. So I take 4x squared and multiply it with each term. That will give me 8x cubed. And 4x squared times 3 gives me plus 12x squared. And now I subtract. I'm not going to put a subtraction sign. I'm just going to remember I subtract. If you put a subtraction sign here, make sure you put this in parentheses and remember to distribute it. This is going to be 0x cubed, so I don't need to write that. 0x squared minus 12x squared gives you negative 12x squared. And then I drop down my next term. And I'm still working with the left term. So 2x times what gives me negative 12x squared? And that's going to be minus 6x. And so I'm going to multiply minus 6x with both of these terms and write underneath here. So that'll be negative 12x squared minus 18x. And now I need to subtract. So negative 12x squared minus a negative becomes plus 12x squared, and those will cancel. And then negative 12x minus negative becomes plus 18x. And so negative 12x plus 18x will give me 6x. And then I need to drop down my minus 7. And 2x goes into 6x 3 times. And then multiply 3 with both of those terms. And you'll get 6x plus 9. And remember to subtract. 6x minus 6x is 0. Negative 7 minus 9 gives you negative 16. And so that is my remainder. I just put plus, and then I'll put my negative on the top. And this is called the quotient and remainder. So the 4x squared minus 6x plus 3, that part is the quotient, and then the negative 16 is the remainder. Let's go ahead and try another example. For this one, the dividend goes on the inside. And let's just make sure that we didn't skip any spaces. So 4, 3, 2, x to the first, no x's. So I don't need any placeholders. They're all there. So x to the fourth minus 4x cubed minus 2x squared plus 7x plus 13. And then on the outside, I'm putting my divisor. And notice this is x to the second, x to the first, and no x's. If you skip a place, you need to put it, even if it's on the divisor on the outside. And let's go ahead, and we have 3 places here, so I need to start above the 3rd place. That's where I start. And make sure you start in the right spot so you know where you're ending. And I need to get rid of the x to the 4th. And the 2 terms that I'm going to look at are those. So x squared times what gives me x to the 4th? And that's going to be x squared. I have to get rid of the term on the left first. So I multiply x squared with all 3 of those. That gives me x to the 4th minus 1x to the 3rd plus 3x squared. And then I'm going to subtract. X to the 4th minus x to the 4th is 0. Negative 4x to the 3rd minus a minus becomes plus. So a negative 4 plus 3, or plus 1 gives me a negative 3x to the 3rd. So negative 4 plus 1, so that's negative 3x to the 3rd. And then I need to subtract these, so this is negative 2x squared minus 3x squared, which gives me minus 5x squared. And then I need to drop down my 7x. And now x squared times what gives me negative 3x to the 3rd, and that's going to be minus 3x. Multiply minus 3x with all 3 of these terms and list them underneath here. So that's going to be negative 3x to the 3rd plus 3x squared minus 9x. And then I subtract. So negative 3x to the 3rd minus a negative becomes plus, so those cancel. Negative 5 minus 3 will give you negative 8, and that's x squared. 7 minus negative 9 gives you 7 plus 9, so that's going to be plus 16x. And then I need to drop my 13 down. And x squared times what gives you negative 8x squared? And so that's going to be negative 8. Multiply negative 8 with all 3 of those terms. So that's negative 8x squared plus 8x. And then minus 24. Subtract. That will give you 0. 16 minus 8 is 8x. And 13 minus a negative 24 gives you plus 37. And so my quotient was x squared minus 3x minus 8. And then I have a remainder of 8x plus 37. And you can go ahead and put that then over your divisor. So it did not go in evenly. On example 4, see if you can work all the way through 1. If you get stuck, you can keep watching and pausing the video on each step if you get stuck on a particular step. But go ahead and see if you can try it on your own first before you work it. Hopefully you tried it. Let's go ahead and look at it. My divisor is x minus 3. My dividend is x cubed plus 4x squared minus 20x plus 1. I did not need a placeholder on the divisor or the dividend. I have 2 terms here, so I start above the second term, and I start with the left term. So x times what gives me x cubed, and that's x squared. Multiply x squared with both of these, and that gives you x to the third minus 3x squared. And then I need to go ahead and subtract. That will give me 0, and 4 minus a negative gives you plus. This is 7x squared. Drop your next term. X goes into 7x squared 7x times. Put that above the next term. And then 7x is multiplied with both of those and written underneath. So I have 7x squared minus 21x. Then I subtract. That will give me 0. Negative 20 minus a negative becomes plus 21. So this is 20x, negative 20x plus 21x, which gives you 1x. Drop your 1, and x goes into x 1 time. And so that's going to be x minus 3 when I multiply 1 with those. And then I subtract, so x minus x is 0. 1 minus a negative becomes plus 3, which gives you 4. So my quotient is x squared plus 7x plus 1, and my remainder is 4, and that's over my divisor, which is x minus 3. And that completes notes.